Hey, y'all, welcome back to episode 41 of the Late Night Vision Show. If this is your first time listening, thank you for joining us. Please go ahead and follow us on all the socials, find us on YouTube. And if you're listening to us right now, this is Valentine's Day. And I want to bring in my buddy Jason to make sure that he's doing something to take care of his wife on Valentine's Day this year, like I know that I'm going to be doing, so I can go get to hunt when I want to go hunt. What are you doing for your wife, Jason?
Oh, man, he's putting me on the spot 3 days ahead of Valentine's as we record this. It's going to be very special, and I have it planned. And I don't want to be giving away any trade secrets, so I'm gonna keep that a secret for now.
my wife does not make a lot of demands for holidays or special occasions, Valentine's Day being included. Right. She just wants to make sure that whenever she gets the card on Valentine's Day or whatever, that the ink is not still wet from me writing in it.
Then let me tell you something. Request. It's a good thing that I'm not married to your wife then, because she'd be sorely disappointed for every holiday, because sometimes I'm digging them out going, didn't I forget to give her one the year before? I've got that shoved in the shoebox somewhere I can find.
Yeah. Every time I give her a card, she's like, man, the ink is still wet on this thing. I can feel it. But no, we want to thank the wives. They let us get away and do a lot of things, and we're out hunting all the time. And we're going to talk at the end of the show about a hunt that I went on this past weekend, a predator hunt. But today, the topic of the show, we're going to be talking about ATN, and I know that we've kind of alluded to it a couple other times in the past. And there's a lot of people that reach out to us, Jason. They want to know more about ATN scopes. They want to know why we don't talk about ATN sometimes. And we've, like I said, alluded to the fact that we had a conversation with ATN. We want to start testing a couple of their scopes. But really, we want to bring that conversation to a head and, make sure that the listeners understand why, the ATN name hasn't come up a lot on our show. We talk about a lot of different brands, but we haven't spent a lot of time on ATN. But let's go ahead and get the ATN conversation, and let's tee that thing up right now.
Well, I tell you what, I'm sitting over here with a lot of things going through my mind, and I think that to say we haven't talked about them much is probably an understatement. The letters A, T, and N in a row have probably only come up 3 times on the show that I can think of, and we're in episode 41. Right. It's the elephant in the room. Okay, I think that anybody who's listening to this show, we've got a lot of listeners who've been here from the beginning. A lot of people have picked up in the middle and started following us, and we appreciate that. But I know I get a lot of emails and I get a lot of phone calls. We get messages on Facebook and Instagram. What about this ATN scope? Why do you never review ATN? And so, again, we have avoided it, and we've dreaded this in some ways because it's not a comfortable topic to bring up. But, Hans and I have just talked about it and said, you know what? This is a industry show. It's a news show. It's a fun show. It's a lot of things. And since there's really only, 4 to 5 thermal and night vision companies that we really, deal with in this industry, we can't just not talk about one of the biggest ones forever.
Well, let's kind of, I think we should start here because we get calls all the time about asking about ATN scopes. And there's 2 different calls that you get when it pertains to ATN. There is the interest and intrigue from a cost factor and wanting to know, hey, are they good for the money? Because they're a great price. Is it good? The other side of that, the flip side of that is I read on the internet all of this horrible stuff about ATN. Is it true? Do I just need to stay clear of it? And that's kind of, I think, the 2 types of people that we get to hear from. I've got buddies that use ATN scopes. They like the product, but that there's that reputation out there that they can't get away from.
Right, and I think there's a third person that you didn't mention, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound like I'm joking, but I'm really not. And the third person that I talk to a good bit, and I know you have too, is the guy who has owned ATN and is calls you, and he's using 4-letter words that we can't repeat on this family show because he's upset about it. So I guess let's start at the beginning, which I always like to do. And, I think last week we were talking about night vision, and I got us all the way back to Vietnam. So let's just start here. Let's just start here and quick. I'll make this quick, but say this: ATN's been around a long. No. It's true. I'm going to get this. I'm going to bring us up to date, or up to at least this. Maybe this decade. No, ATN's been around a long time. They really have been, and they were around in the thermal game, before a lot of other people were. The issue with the modern ATN scopes, I mean, this I would say goes all the way back, 4 or 5 years ago. The introduction of the digital night vision, the X-Sight, and there's the current crop of thermals. ATN has just had a problem with releasing scopes that weren't really ready for the market, meaning all the advertising was done. All the marketing looks great, full color, slick. I mean, they have some of the greatest advertising campaigns out there. I mean, that's not a joke. I mean, kudos to them. Their advertising is great, but they have released scopes that were not ready for the market. The original ATN X-Sight is an example of that. In my opinion, the X-Sight 2, while it had improved a lot of things, there were still problems with that. And so it's just snowballed, and the same thing has happened with some of their thermal scopes. And so here's my thing. If you're going to take a product, and ATN is known for one thing specifically, and they advertise this, and this is that they pack more features into a scope than anybody else. I mean, their scopes will take the trash out and wash the dishes. They will do all kinds of stuff. True. They really will. But the problem is when you pack that much stuff into a scope, you're just upping the chance for problems, for bugs, for things to go wrong. And they've been plagued with a lot of that. And so then when they have those problems go wrong, it's just the way they've handled it has not been good. Their customer service is the biggest issue. So here's what I say. You can have a scope that is less expensive, which a lot of theirs are. So they're getting people on price, and that's good. That they're attracting people there, attracting people with good marketing. But if you have a scope that is going to be maybe less reliable than some of the competition, or it's going to be buggy, then you better have the absolute best customer service in the industry.
Right.
And they've had the opposite. They've had some of the buggiest scopes, meaning some of the most problems. And again, I think a lot of that stems back to a lot of features, a lot of things packed in, and then they have not had the customer service to back that up. Now, I want to be clear here and say this. This is an uncomfortable conversation. I am not here today to slam ATN. I am not an ATN hater. I have sold ATN in the past. Currently, I choose not to voluntarily sell ATN scopes. We do sell some X-Sights if people demand them, if customers really want them, under the caveat of, I'm warning you. I've just been down the road, so personally, for Outdoor Legacy, we had to stop selling them. It was just, it became an issue of conscience. We had so many troubles. It became an issue of profitability. We had so many issues with returning scopes for customers, us returning them to ATN, waiting forever to get them back. So we just stopped. So we can get into a little bit of that in a minute. But with all that said, so the issue to me is that ATN is just falling down on customer service. And what I don't want you to do, and I say this to anybody that we have this ATN conversation, I know that Hans is going to agree with this. Don't take our word for it, okay? Go out there, go to the hunting forums, go online, go to anywhere you can read reviews. I always joke and say stay off the Facebook groups, but you can go to some of the Facebook groups. Just read the reviews firsthand, the first-hand reviews, and they speak for themselves. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't take us bashing them and knocking them down. That's somebody who's paid for the scope with their own money.
Yeah, and usually I don't think we recommend going to the internet to get their facts on.
No,
much
not
of
at all.
anything.
But
yeah,
I'm making the point that there's a lot of firsthand reviews out there.
And to your point earlier, where you said that people call in and say, "I used ATN, I sent it back, I want something else." That is a big majority of calls and types of people that I talk to that have used the product in the past. unsatisfied either with product or service and send it back to get something else and switch to another brand. And like I said, we know a lot of people that use ATN. I've got friends that use ATN and they're happy with them. But they understand when they bought that scope that they took a risk buying that versus what they've heard about it. And, I think that we'll get into this here shortly, I know, but we had a conversation with ATN, and they like we spoke about before in a previous episode, they owned up to some of the mistakes that they've had in the past, which was great to see, Jason, just them atoning for that. And said that they're working to correct those issues and to continue to produce the best scopes that they can. So, we've talked about testing out some scopes. I do hope that we get to test out a couple of ATN models. But the jury is still out on the customer service issues. We've heard from them to said that they have been corrected in large part. We don't know that for a fact, but we would love to add ATN to the conversation and to be able to push and promote another brand, another make of thermal scopes. And definitely, like I know we've talked about in the past, you and I are rooting for ATN to get better, to add more competition and give more people more choice and more value.
Yeah, and I want to be clear here. Let's face the facts. ATN sells a pile of scopes. Okay, they're not sitting over there and twisting their fingers around, wringing their hands because we're not selling their scopes.
Well,
they're doing great.
They don't need Jason and Hans pushing their stuff.
they do not need us. And
No.
Again, kudos to them for that. They sell a lot of scopes. All right, but we are, and Hans brought that up, we are rooting for them. This is a small industry. We've mentioned it before. Pulsar, FLIR, Trigicon, ATN, and now Envision is trying to sneak under the fence and really build their name up in this brand. But again, for right now, they've only got a couple scopes, and they're going to definitely be on the higher end. So when we talk about down here in the entry level to mid-range and even touching up on the higher range, the 640 type stuff, you've got right now Pulsar and FLIR and then ATN over here on the side. And so you're taking out a third of the market of the possibilities of the options and the different models that you can choose from when you take ATN off the table. So I don't like that. I want more choice. It doesn't mean I want, 10 different, new manufacturers in this space right now. But I think having 3 or 4 is great for the consumer. But, when I started this business back 6 years ago, my deal was I don't ever want to sell something that I can't in good faith, stand behind and say, I believe this is a good product. If I wouldn't sell it, the joke I've made, if I wouldn't sell it to my grandmother, then I don't want to sell it. And everybody likes different things, and that's great. But what I don't want is I don't want somebody buying something from me and saying, Jason told me this is a great scope and this is a great company, and then it's not, and then they have all this trouble, and then they're blaming me, and it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. And so back to what Hans said here, we are rooting for ATN, but I want to be clear. And this is, if somebody from ATN listens to this, I know they probably don't care what we say, but I'm going to throw this out. We want them to get better. We want the customer service issues to be fixed. That's the first thing. I am less concerned about the reliability of the scope as I am with the customer service. That's the first thing. Fix the customer service. And I am not going to be convinced that the customer service is better until I am hearing it from the general consumer who buys their scope right off the shelf at, wherever big box store or from another dealer. And then I experience it myself. And here's the thing, and this is going to sound critical, but I'm not going to accept it if it's just 50% better. It's got to be really, really good. And the reason for that is because it's been so bad, I'm not going to reverse my trend because it got a little bit better. Yeah. It's got to get good. And I think that, there's folks out there like Pulsar who are proving that it can be done. I mean, obviously there's Trigicon. It's a whole nother level. You would expect good customer service when you spend, 7 to 10 grand on a scope, but Pulsar is doing it. And
Well,
they're setting a standard, in my opinion, and it's a great standard that I think ATN needs to follow. And they may not like to hear that, but it's true.
yeah, ATN being a large company,
Yep.
large companies, as we know, change doesn't happen very quickly.
No.
And a customer service issue is a complete systematic company structure change, everything. And it's going to take a lot of time. And from the time that they get their customer service complete, how much more time, customer service, let's say it's perfected, they got everything taken care of, everything's working right. How many years after that is it going to take for the end user consumer reputation to
That's
get
right.
better? Because
A
it's going
long
to take
time.
it's going to take a number of years after that's even fixed before the consumers believe in it. So I mean, we're talking about a several year project, but like I said, if you can get some end users out there that said, hey, I've had good experience with it, got it taken care of, the confidence is back, then it can definitely help and
It can
change the
happen.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I understand customer service is expensive. I mean, Hans and I know this firsthand. Customer service is what I try to do, the name of my game. And that's what I try to do, and that's how we beat the big box stores and a lot of other dealers is customer service. It is not free, and it is not cheap. It is time-consuming, it's hard, and a lot of times it's frustrating. And I understand that, and when you take a company the size of one of these big manufacturers, it's really expensive and really time-consuming. But I can tell you this, and I know that the marketing people would go, what? Mark the scope up $200 a piece, every one of them across the board. $200 a piece from the cheapest one to the most expensive one, and go in there and hire customer service people. 200 won't do it, mark them up 400. It's that big of a deal. And I'm serious about that. It is that important. And I think that if and again, ATN sitting up there going, we're selling more scopes than we can make. We don't need to do anything. Hey, no problem. They don't need me to tell them how to run the company. But Hans and I we wanted to bring this out. We wanted to talk about it because in good conscience, we have not recommended ATN on the show. And until something changes, and we've seen that change that we believe we can stand behind, we're not going to recommend it. With that said, we're also not here to bash them. And that's not what this show's about. And that's the reason that for 40 episodes, we've remained silent on it. And I can tell you, we don't intend to drag them through the mud on the next 40. It's not what we're here to do. But we had to discuss this elephant in the room, talk about it, and move on. And I want to touch one more thing. Hans, you did mention that ATN did reach out to us. If you didn't hear that episode, it was right after the SHOT Show. We spoke about the fact that ATN reached out to us and wanted to meet with us at the SHOT Show. We had a good meeting with them. It was a frank discussion. Everybody was really nice, but I said a lot of these things there nicely, and we all got along. They extended the olive branch to us and said, hey, we want you to go out and demo some of our scopes. Pick anything you want. We'll send them to you, let you test them out, do anything you want, and give an honest review. If you like it, tell us. Tell the world. If you don't like it, tell them. I don't know what else I could ask for, and I'll say this. There's not a lot of manufacturers who are willing to do that, especially to somebody they know that's already been critical of their stuff. So, hey, kudos to them for that. I appreciate that, and we may be taking them up on that offer later this year. We'll see. We've got a lot of stuff going right now. But Hans, I'll let you have the last word on it, but I want to say this. ATN, we're rooting for you. Yeah. We're not against you, but I cannot put my business name and my personal name on the line and recommend the product, knowing that somebody is going to spend, whether it's a $500 or $600, $700 X-Site, because that's a lot of money to a lot of guys who buy X-Sites, and that's very understandable. That's a chunk of change, all the way up to a guy who buys a $3,000 or $4,000 thermal scope. And if we're talking about pencil sharpeners, you throw those away when they break. But we're talking about a high-end night vision and thermal optics. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Was I supposed to have the last word, or Or is that your last word?
No, that's I rest my case. I rest my case. I don't want to say anything else and stick my foot in my mouth. And hey, and to anybody who owns ATN, I know I said it's my list. Anybody who owns ATN, if you like it, good for you. I am not here to throw rocks at your dog. If you've had great luck and maybe you've had great customer service, that's excellent. I'm not denying that happens. I'm not denying that they don't make some great optics when they work. And if you don't have problems, or maybe even if you do, you got good customer service. Good for you. I am not here to bash your scope. Not at all. I'm just talking about the greater company as a whole.
Yeah. I was at that meeting that with ATN, and Jason, I witnessed it. He laid it out. He did not hide anything. He laid everything out as far as the concerns. And
that was nice.
You were very nice and cordial. Nice and friendly and cordial. They were nice and friendly and cordial.
Absolutely. Very much.
To, in response. So I was impressed with how everything went, but we will continue to report back any new news, anything that we test. Stay tuned to the show because we will, I hope soon, be able to test some ATN product and give a full report on the product itself, but the jury's still going to be out moving forward on the customer service. But that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yep, that's it. So you fix the problem, and we will scream it from the rooftops of this podcast. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Hans, I tell you what, I want to know something about this. Now, I heard that there was a big Conway Farms predator hunt down in your neck of the woods this weekend, and this was something that I know one of your buddies, Tucker, had put together, and I think it was the first hunt that they had done, and you got in on a team, and I heard that there was some coyote shooting going on. So tell me about what happened.
Yeah, so this was my first ever predator hunting contest. And so first of all, I'll give a shout out to Tucker, Blake, Monty. Go check them out on YouTube. They're called, their channel's the Texas Bottomland Night Hunts. Got a good YouTube channel. Those boys invited me to come out, and I'm giving them a hard time.
They shoot ATN, don't they?
Well, one of them has an ATN, shoots an ATN. Right. The other two, they used to have ATN, I think, and then they've switched over to Pulsar.
All right,
so,
just checking. All right.
And that was one of the guys I was talking about. A buddy of mine uses ATN and likes it.
Right.
So, and there's no, but. So my first tournament, and I was giving them a hard time because I told them that they chose me last on the team, and I had to carry. They asked me to carry the gear, and basically
the water boy. Everybody needs a water boy.
Yeah, so I was the gear donkey, or maybe the tactical donkey, whatever you want to refer to it as. But it was my first predator hunt, so go check them out on YouTube, Texas Bottomland Night Hunts. But we're just all hog hunters. That's all we do. If we're shooting coyotes, it's only because a coyote ran out in the field and did something stupid while we're out chasing hogs. So Tucker Conway put together a predator hunting contest. So it was coyotes, bobcats, fox, and raccoons, and there was a point system. And I'm going to say, man, it's a 24-hour hunt, and I'm not a young man anymore. These guys are a little bit younger than I am, and I guess I'm pretty proud that I kept up with them, but I think they were dragging me across the finish line is what it was. But so it's 24 hours, and all four guys have to hunt together at the same time. You can't split up, two go here, two go somewhere else. All four guys got to stay together at the same time. And we hunted, no joke. I'll tell you this: we slept for 1 hour, and that was at 6 o'clock a.m. to 7 a.m. is when we took a nap, and we slept in the cab of a truck in the middle of a hayfield. Woke up in an hour and then got back to hunting, and we hunted and hunted. We shot our first coyote at 8 o'clock at night, and we shot our last coyote at 10 o'clock in the morning that next morning. Wow. And I'm going to tell you what, about 4 o'clock, I was about ready to tell them boys to just go ahead and mail me my first place check at my house. I'll see y'all on the flip side. I was about to just roll out. Well, I was tired. And I will tell you this. We had to stop because we were driving to a new location. And I stopped to get gas. It's never good when the police officer walks out of the gas station and the first thing they said is, where you headed? I'm like, oh, I was shaking my head. I was like, oh gosh, here we go.
Yeah, right.
Here we go. I've got a pile of coyotes in the back of the truck, a couple hogs, because we weren't going to let the hogs get away.
No.
We saw a couple hogs and we didn't pass them up, but we ended up taking second place. So I told that whole long story to say we got second place. The guys that won it were a good group of guys from right here in the East Texas area, I hear, and it was a pleasure to meet everybody out there. Met a lot of people that listened to the show, watched the videos on the Hans ETX YouTube channel. Got a chance to pass out some stuff to some stickers to some people, and it was fun. But I'm going to tell you, it's a couple days later now, and I'm still dragging. I feel like when you miss a whole night of sleep, you just can't catch up on that right away.
Well, I'll tell you, Hans he called and told me they stayed up, basically 24 hours, slept 1 hour. And I told him there was a less than 0% chance of me doing that. I mean, it doesn't even, I'll be honest, I love to hunt. And I love to hunt coyotes. I love to hunt, hogs, whatever. If we're night hunting, and I know y'all did a lot of daytime hunting too, I'm all for it, but nope, I'm way too old for that. Call me 20 years ago and done it, but so you got second place. Isn't that what they call first place loser? I'm just trying to figure out what they call. Did y'all get any? Did you get a prize? Is there a prize for second?
Well, a guy on our team. No, there was not a prize for second place.
Okay.
But there was a guy on our team, Blake. He got the money for the heaviest dog, the heaviest coyote. So
good.
He ended up winning, I think, a few $100s on that deal.
Good.
And, man, like I said, we hunted hard, and I'm proud of our team for getting 8 coyotes. Coyote hunting in East Texas is a lot different than – and we say that about hog hunting too. It's different. But, you see guys in West Texas that just go out one night and get 40 coyotes. I'm not going to say that's impossible. There was a team I think I saw that one night got 60-something coyotes. I'm not going to say it's impossible in East Texas, but it's really, really hard. The winning team, actually, they did really good. I think they ended up with 10 coyotes, 3 bobcats, a gray fox, and a raccoon. And I'm going to tell you what, we didn't see any bobcats. We didn't see one gray fox. I cannot believe we did not see one single raccoon. I mean, I go out and I feel like every tree I walk under, they're sitting on top of it, and I'm kicking them by when I'm go. I mean,
that's because they're not worth 1 point.
Yeah.
So when they're worth 1 point, they disappear.
But I will tell you this: I'm not going to say we killed every coyote that we saw, but there were only the whole night 3 coyotes that ended up getting away, and those coyotes were at 400 yards and running.
Hey, that's good.
We had a group of 3 coyotes run in, and all 3 were taken out at the same time. So we had some good shooters. Tucker was calling on the call. Me, Blake, and Monty were behind the rifles, and we were all shooting really good. I was proud of our team. I can't wait to do it again next year. But with all that being said, I'm out there, dragging, trying to just keep up with everybody and shoot all these coyotes. I'm getting messages from Jason saying that he's knocked down a couple hogs out in the rain. Had to wait out there in your little flat bottom boat out there to get them.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, I'm going to tell this story because this right here, I have the video, but if I show it, I'll just be shamed. I'll probably have to we'll have to end the podcast, or you have to find a new co-host. I'll have to close up Outdoor Legacy. Okay, so here's the deal. The last couple of hogs that I've shot ran on me. Got up close, made good shots, or what I thought were good shots, looked like good shots in the video, and they just run like they're not hit. And I'm like, then I just start slinging lead. And so, if anybody that's a coyote hunter or a hog hunter, really, to be honest, any kind of hunter, but especially hogs and coyotes, when you have that experience at night and they run off, your confidence just gets killed. And so you start going, is my scope off? Is my rifle off? Am I not hitting them? What am I aiming wrong? Were they further? Were they closer?
Here's the thing, and what I've noticed, because it's happened to me in the past, you miss a couple shots and you start moving back. So normally you take a headshot,
That's
your
right.
confidence goes and you start moving further and further back until you're taking body shots. And you know they're going to run when they're taking body shots
That's
most of the
it.
time. But I know exactly. Yeah, I know
I've
exactly.
been in that,
Yeah.
situation. The last couple hunts I've gone on, and I say hunts, both those were here on my place. And it was just like the hogs ran. And I mean, like, I know y'all have heard us talk about it, but generally speaking, Hans and I get close on these hogs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 30, 40 yards, we walk right up on top of them. And so when you're that close, you're shooting and they just take off running. You just, everything goes through your mind. You're expecting him to stumble, him to do something. But anyway, so I looked out there and I saw, I don't know, a big group of hogs, maybe 8 or 10, and I think maybe more than that, out in the pasture. I guess there was maybe 10. And saw them down there, and one was already a big one going into the woods, and this group was all about the same size, and they were in the slap dab middle of my pasture out there. I mean, they are 200-300 yards from the closest tree line in any direction. And so I take off down there, and it's wet. My place is in a bottom, big creek bottom, and we've had, nearly 50 inches of rain since the second week of September. So we've just had crazy amounts of rain, and that thing is inch or two of water in a lot of it. It's just standing there. So, and I get down there, and I just keep getting closer and closer. Get up on top of them, shoot the first one closest to us, and I did. I backed up. I didn't take that ear shot. I backed up a little bit, got that kind of that neck shot, and to my surprise and liking, it just rolled it up. I'm like, awesome. Take off running, and I'm going to tell you something, and the guys who are hunting a lot with suppressors know this, especially something that you can really suppress down like that 300 blackout. And I'm shooting supersonics, by the way, not even subsonics. If you will shoot, and I'm going to tell guys they'll be trying this and then they're going to be blaming me, but it works for me. If you will shoot and resist that urge to start slinging lead, which I love to do, and just wait, they will run out there and they'll stop 9 times out of 10. And they'll stop and they'll look around, and then you've got the perfect shot because they're standing there. So that's exactly what happened. I shot, watched them go. They went out about 30 yards, standing there. Boom, shot another one. It kind of did a drop, a turn and run. There was blood pumping out. I could see it. I'm like, I got it. All right. And it did. It went and, fell over, rolling. Those hogs went out there and stopped again. And I was like, I'm looking around. I'm thinking, I've got 2 hogs on the ground in standing water. I have no idea what I'm going to do with them. I do not want to let these hogs go. They're destroying my pasture. But I can't destroy the pasture worse by driving out there with my tractor or my Ranger. So I just gritted my teeth and I said, I've already got more work here than I can handle. I got to let these things go. And maybe when they come back out another night, it'll either be drier, which is unlikely unless it's 6 months from now, or they'll be closer to the wood line, closer to the creek, closer to something where I can drag them. So I went, and this is the part that gets odd. So I go and I start, dragging these hogs around, trying to take some pictures of them. And I've got, my daughter's got some heifers. They came in behind me and they're like on top of us. They're in there smelling these dead hogs. I can't get them out of the way. But all of a sudden I hear something rustling around behind me. I'm like, what? It's not the cows. What is it? I turn around with my flashlight, and less than 30 yards from me are 6 or 8 of these hogs. And they've circled a full 360 degrees, come right back to where they were. I mean, last time I saw them, they were going in the woods 400 yards away. And they're right there. I've got the flashlight on them. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And they're not even running. It's the strangest thing. So I pull my rifle up, video just a little bit. I can't even shoot. It's between me and my house. So I'm like, there's nothing I can do. And I watch them, and I was like, okay, it's late. I have no idea what's going on. I got more work than I can handle right here. I let them go on. They go off in the woods again. I'm still, embarrassed thinking I can't tell this story. So I'm out there almost done taking pictures with a flash in the middle of this pasture. And I'm wrapping everything up. I'm packing my stuff up, and I hear this squealing. And I'm like, where are those hogs now? I pull out my thermal monocular and look down there, and they're about 250, 300 yards away, all in a group down there with maybe one or two more rooting up my pasture. I'm
and
like,
you let them go.
and I let him go.
Man.
I turned around, walked back to the house, and I was going, Hans is just he's gonna disown me. But in my defense, so I went to bed with two hogs laid out there in the middle of the pasture this morning. My wife comes in there and she goes, "Did you kill hogs last night?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." Why? And she goes, "Because there's something huge laying out there in the pasture." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah.
So I had to go down there in the rain with my Ranger, pick my way through the pasture, trying to stay on the few little high spots that I could find, rutting it up with a chain, dragging those things off, tore my pasture up. And I was like, I really want to kill the rest of those, but I just cannot destroy this place. And my house sits there overlooking this bottom, and I got to stare at it, and for however many months till the Bermuda grass starts growing. So I let them go. They're going to be back next time. I'm going to get them close to the wood line though, and we'll be
just
be
shoo
good
them over there. Shoo them over there.
That's right.
You got to learn how to work them, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, thank y'all for joining us this week. Now, as you know, we're on all the socials, so go check us out on Instagram, Facebook, on YouTube. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. I know a lot of you are starting to watch the videos on there where you can see me and Jason. A lot of people like to listen to it in their truck, have people listening to the cab of their tractors. But go search the Late Night Vision Show and go please follow us on all the socials. You can also contact us, leave us a voicemail, or you can text us pictures of any dead hogs or coyotes or your hunting rigs that you're using. And please do that because there's a good chance we're going to share that voicemail on the air. We'll leave your last name out. We just want to play your comments and tell us what you think about the show. So you can get that and call that number at 903-833-4461. You can email Jason and I at the Late Night Vision Show at gmail.com. And I think, I left one important thing out. If you are interested in purchasing or talking about any night vision or thermal related scopes or optics, please give Jason a call, and you can do so at 877-350-1818, or you can go and check out all these scopes online at outdoorlegacygear.com. I
think that's it. I don't think you left anything out. I think
go find Hans ETX on YouTube and Instagram and Outdoor Legacy Gear. There you go. We'll sneak that in.
That's it. Find us anywhere. Hey, folks, we appreciate it. Thanks for listening. I hope you we got a little bit of information out there on the first half of the segment, and then maybe you enjoyed hearing some of our hunting stories, and hope y'all had a good time with that. Look, we appreciate you every week coming back. Like, subscribe, all that stuff, so you don't ever miss an episode. We will be back next week, good Lord willing. The creek don't rise for episode 42, and y'all stay safe in the fields until then.